So thank you very much for your business. It was a pleasure meeting you all today. A couple of things. One is that this is the unedited version. It's unlisted, so YouTube has a listing service, so you can either click on list or unlist. So I don't want it to be seen by the general public, not least because it would be extremely boring for anyone that wasn't involved with it. But I don't have control over what YouTube do, but I can see if the number of people that see it. So, it should be fine, but I'm not YouTube. So if you can send the data logger, the updates from the data logger, and within the survey, I should show you how to do that. And if you can send that, not this weekend, but the following weekend, so 22nd, 23rd of March. If you don't do it, then please do it as soon as possible. I do everything in order and I wait for the data loggers to come through. So obviously it will delay it if you don't. It's better to send it earlier than later. The other thing is, then the final report will be, so I'm going to send a link with information with this report. That's in draft form, so I may change the wording, but it will be as an email attachment, and then within the details within the YouTube, which will be sent so that anyone can read it and understand it, or listen to it, should I say, and understand it. The details will contain links through to recommendations, but it's primarily in the video. So have a look now. I'm sorry if it rambles a bit. How long have you guys been here?
So we bought the place in 2018.
So about 7 years, yeah.
Yeah, but then this kitchen, it was really old. The previous owners lived here for 16 years, and they had, at that point, I think, had a really nice, 16 years ago, and I think they redid the kitchen. They tiled everything,
okay.
and we.
So this was all tiled.
Yeah, it was all tiled. And when we got to redo it, we did this in 2019, I think. Yeah. Just before COVID, and it was fine.
So you removed the tiles in 2019.
Yeah, 2019,
okay.
And I don't know when. I can't remember when exactly this started happening. Maybe soon after, really. So then what we did was I used one of those Zinners, or one of those like paint. Zinzer, yeah. Because I think the paint was peeling off.
Yeah.
And we'd just done this damp coat, like the base coat on the plaster. And we saw that peeling off, so I put that Zinzer thing. And then we left it, and then it started doing this. So we just left it.
Okay.
We didn't. I can show you some.
There also, I remember seeing pictures of mould somewhere.
Yeah, the mould.
Perhaps behind here.
Oh yes. We pulled that through, and then I think that was basically condensation, to be honest. So,
behind the fridge?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we pulled that through, and then we painted it with like more resistant paint.
Oh, so that's an old picture that I saw.
No, that was 2 months ago or something, when we just, that was quite recent actually.
But you've removed the fridge from the back.
Yeah.
And then what is you just used anti-mold spray and then
clean the paint. Yeah.
Okay. And it's okay now.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't pulled the fridge forward yet.
I'll have a look. So what I should say, a couple of things. One is with fridges.
Yeah.
When you open it,
yeah.
then the humidity in the vapor in the room, in the kitchen, goes into the fridge.
Yeah.
Then there's a little thing at the back of the fridge, a little drip thing, and then the water then drips in at the base of the fridge.
Okay.
And it uses the motor at the base of the fridge to then evaporate it off.
Oh, right.
But if it's a humid environment or you don't have enough airflow behind, then you can get condensation and mold behind the fridge.
Yeah, that's what I think it was actually. Plus, I feel like this flat, when we were doing up the kitchen, we gutted the entire place down, and we realized that I think the builder said that there was not much of a damp proofing membrane in these walls. And it was too late for us to do it because we had a schedule and it was just too difficult at that point.
This is part of the original kitchen?
I think this was the extension at some point.
An extension.
So this, I think it ended here because
Yeah.
if you see the wall, this wall goes all the way.
Well, sometimes you can. It's if I. Oh no! No. This is what's called a back addition.
Okay.
So it was part of the original.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because you're going up to all the floors, and if we.
So this, I believe, this house was originally 1850s to 1870s.
This cracks
Yeah.
needs to be filled. Yeah, carry on. Sorry, it's 1870s.
About then,
Yeah.
because and then in 1901 it was purchased, and then they put a first Nelson's Hospital in here. So our little unit was the nurses' quarters, not quarters, like a kitchen, because they had like a massive range in the fireplace when we pulled that
For
fireplace.
cooking?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a food. Yeah, I don't know if they, because the nurses lived up there, is what we were told, the last one, and these two were like where the patients were, and the coach house was the supply and the morgue apparently. So we don't know if this was part of it then, but then they did the conversion in about 1970s or so, because that's when we had the first lease from. And
It's when you had the first
yeah, the first lease, because it's a lease.
extension. Yeah, you did a lease extension at that
Yeah,
point.
I mean, the previous
So
was
that's
the lease
new.
extension. And
This is
when we
old.
got that, it was like 1970s was the first time I think they converted the place up or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And I mean, it was poorly done because 1970s was pretty
Yeah.
badly done, everything. So there's nothing in here.
That's okay. Okay, good. Do you have damp issues elsewhere?
So when we not okay in here, when we got there was wallpaper everywhere. We pulled it out in the first in 2019.
mould in there.
No, but we saw that there was a difference between the I don't have the picture, but like up till here there was a different color.
Yeah.
So I think they did something in
Damp
this room.
proofing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there was nothing. I mean, older.
Oh, I saw the pictures. Yeah. Oh, I think I did.
But you can see the issue in this room here, like.
Oh, hi.
Sorry, he's on a call. In here, you can see that. I mean, the wallpaper this room has not been touched, and is that salts coming through?
Those are calcium sulfate salts. They're fine though. They don't cause any problem. But that's. I'll have a look on the outside.
Yeah, I think
better
the
understand
builder
that.
said there was no air bricks or anything on this wall here.
Oh, you don't want air bricks.
Oh, you don't, is it?
No, it's no. I'll explain why later, but
Okay.
no, because it's passive ventilation, and you want active ventilation.
Okay.
Okay, so
So this is our bathroom. In the bathroom, I can just show. Sorry, we have a litter cat.
oh right, okay, oh lovely.
So
Okay, I'll check it out.
this is all fully. This was not going to be this whole and other than that, I can show you the readings because I got.
Oh, you go. Oh well,
Yeah.
should we do the data loggers? I'll need to calibrate them. So let's.
It is pretty. I mean, right now that's the pantry wall there.
What you need to look at is that if I put this down here and put it, do you see the dew point? So that's looking okay.
Okay.
You will need to keep that below the outside temperature by increasing ventilation and dehumidification.
Okay.
So it's showing nearly 6 degrees centigrade,
Okay.
and the outside temperature is roughly 6 at the moment, I think, outside. Actually, it might be a bit higher than that. It might be 10.
Okay.
But that's looking okay. But it's what it's like at night that's important.
Okay.
I'll show you in a sec.
Okay. Sure.
Well, actually, I'll do this now because this. So this is to synchronize.
Okay.
You'll have this on the video. What I want you to do
Okay.
is to send me data back, not this coming weekend, but the following weekend.
Okay.
I think it's 21st, 22nd of March.
Sure.
And then I'll go through all the data loggers, and then
Okay.
in the future you'll be able to do it yourselves.
Okay. Sure.
So it takes about a minute per week of data. Hi, Gordon.
I saw that overrun.
That's all right. I'm putting stuff to video. I'll put it online for you just privately. So it's on what is called unlisted on YouTube.
Okay.
And then what I do then is I then take bits of it and voice it over, and then explain things that can go to a wider audience. But this will be rather boring for most people, so we're just talking about the dew point and the data loggers. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to calibrate them. So I'm just going to put them in a calibration unit, and it takes about half an hour. I'm happy for you guys to come around with me, ask me questions, or alternatively, if you need to get on with stuff, I'll just put everything to video anyway, so you can just listen to it, and I just chat away as I'm going along, explaining what I'm doing and what I'm seeing. But one of the first things I'm going to do is start with the ventilation check, because your symptoms look very much like condensation. And the fact that you've got all the mould behind the fridge leads me to believe that the environment is causing condensation. So I'm going to be testing the ventilation systems out. The data on the data logger look like what you need to do is keep the dew point below the outside temperature, and then you won't have mould and condensation. And at the moment it is, so that's great. But you just need to. It's most of these issues actually take place in the middle of the night, when maybe you've had a shower or bath or whatever, and a bit of cooking, and then the heating goes off and it gets cold outside, and that's often and you've got the symptoms here. So you've got a solid floor, you've got water. So if it were rising down, which I really don't think it is, if it were rising down, you would have a constant horizontal band everywhere across the property.
Right.
But it's very sloped, and it's sloping down. The radiator seems to be sloping it down, which is not surprising because the heat from the radiator. And radiators are a double-edged sword. So when they're not in use, the water in the radiator can actually cool a wall down, because the water can move to a colder part of the property, particularly if you've got a subfloor, which you don't, because this is solid floor throughout, I'm guessing.
I think it was like hard concrete. And then, can I just ask you a question? So if you look at this wall, this is concrete blocks, I think, because if you peek through a little bit, you can see.
You can see it.
And so there's no damp coming through here. It seems to be only in this section. So I don't know if the plaster.
Well, I'll use a damp meter that can. Uses radio waves that's deep within it. But yeah, I mean there can be a lot of different reasons why you get it in one particular zone. But in particular, what you've got here is you've got a tile floor. Or it doesn't really matter if it's tiled or a solid floor, but if you've got condensation, it's just as likely to form on the floor as it is the wall, but because it can't be absorbed into the floor, it amplifies the effect, so it increases the amount of water going into the wall. So that may be why you're not seeing it so much there, because that's obviously giving some insulation, that just the timber itself is. So there can be a multitude of explanations for why it's in one particular place. But this is damp proofers. This is plasterers beading here, and it's got metal, and metal loses heat rapidly, so you get this increase and decrease. I get the impression that it's been damp proofed at some stage, and damp proofing treatment increases the risk of dampness, because of just removing the normal absorbent plaster increases the risk of condensation, because you can't absorb as much vapor into the plaster. But I'll show you with a damp meter, and what I encourage owners to do is to get a damp meter and just follow my recommendations and just see how the dampness disappears over time. And you won't know that unless you're using a damp meter. And it takes months. It can take 6 to 9 months for a wall to dry up. But so if you've got a meter and you can see the numbers starting to come down, it gives you confidence that you're going in the right direction. I'll show you that now, and then I'll do the ventilation. Actually, it's like if you if you have glass up against a wall, and there's lots of vapor, then the glass doesn't absorb the water, and it will sort of slowly move towards the wall, and so it increases the amount of water that's going into the wall. So an impermeable surface like a solid floor will act like that glass.
Okay, I see.
And it will it'll exacerbate, it will amplify the effects of condensation.
I see.
So this is two different types of damp meters. The right hand one, the Survey Master, is the professional level. They cost like £500 or something. This one, Doctor Meter, it costs about £23. And in my opinion, it's better. It does everything else, but it's not calibrated. So there can be a variation between one and the other. But in your own property, that doesn't matter, because all you're looking for is relative values. You just want to see it coming down. Sure. this damp meter, it starts off with dry wall, which is when you tap a wall and you hear it's hollow.
Yeah, this one.
That's because it's a dry wall, because it's basically plasterboard. But so a normal masonry wall, you just have to click it down on that button there, and it will say masonry wall. And so that's, you can see that it's showing 100%. So what I get people to do is just mark where it says 100%, and then come back every week. Yeah. I don't do it with my meter. Use your own. Get your own meter. And then it's it's a case of it will just like condensation forms at the base of the wall and moves upwards because of gravity. Like if you're drying a pair of jeans, it's always dampest at the base of the jeans because water is dry. So evaporation is the opposite. It's drying from the top downwards. So you'll tend to find that the numbers will move. They'll start to. You'll get the 100 will start to move downwards.
Okay. Sure.
Cupboard now. Cupboards. The issue with cupboards is when you open the cupboard, it will get the vapor from internally, and when you close it, it doesn't get the heat. So you get all the moisture from the air without the heat. So what it does is it increases the relative humidity in the cupboard, because relative humidity is a measure of both the amount of vapor in air and the temperature, the surface temperature. So a simple solution is one will look at the ventilation side, but the second one, and I can hear the fan has gone off, so it's not lasting half an hour in the bathroom. It should last that. I'll see if I can improve that. But the thing is to just put some insulation in there, and you can get really very inexpensive wood fibre that's you just glue it up and put it on the wall, or you can get slightly more expensive thermal lining paper. So like £50 for a roll of that, which is it's just a simple solution for it. But it's that the insulation is not or lack of insulation isn't the cause of the mold, it's the exacerbating factor. The cause is always excess vapor.
Right, okay. I think because this is a solid wall, and then they had built these cupboards. And
but these will be internal.
Yeah, these are
so
external
this is external, so you're getting the cold of this wall, whereas you don't have the same problem there.
We feel like there is is it a sewer pipe or something that like the other building?
From the neighbours?
Yeah, because it goes through, and I don't know which way it maybe connects outside that. I don't know which way it connects, to be honest, because we have put these like water, like the salt sashes, so there's water collecting. I don't know if it
in these cupboards.
Yeah.
So you're getting mold in these cupboards as well.
Not so much, because we try and keep the doors open for the most part. I've not seen mold in here because it's just. I'm going to open yours because mine's like full. It's like.
Sort of thing goes is that so you can get zones of heat loss. And as you say, it could be things like a metal pipe going down a sewer pipe. I mean, the floor of any property is going to be colder than elsewhere. So you are going to get a zone at risk. But insulation is.
So that wallpaper will help, you think?
But we'll talk about dehumidifiers later on. But I would be
Yeah.
recommending you get a dehumidifier.
Yeah, we have one actually.
Do you want to show it to me?
It's in there.
What I would say is twofold. So this dehumidifier, it looks it's 12 litres and really should be getting 20 litre dehumidifier. Especially, do you dry clothes internally at all? Like if it's wet and cold?
Yeah.
Yeah, in winter.
It's just not fast enough to remove the vapour. I recommend 20 litres as being the sweet spot between fast enough removal and not too noisy, because the bigger ones can be quite noisy. But I'll have a look at the ventilation now. But for now, I always ask people to do 3 things after I leave, just to see if we see improvement on the data loggers, because I want to just see that they're coming down over time.
Yeah.
And one is run a dehumidifier 24/7 continuously for the 10 days or whatever it is,
Yeah.
while for the last part, and just see if that's solving, because you can find most of these issues are solvable without having to spend any money.
Okay.
So if you run that, it's not 20 litres, but it's going in the right direction.
Okay. We'll start.
To notice it's open plan, so any vapour from one place is going to affect another place. But yeah, I'd just put it next to the damp wall basically.
Sure.
There's a plug in there, so you can just
Yeah,
look at it.
can use that.
And
Sorry, I didn't get a chance to clean up the.
oh, don't worry. So I'm just going to put it on. It seems to be coming out. So that's a good fan. Showing me 50. It should be 30, so that's great. This is the bathroom.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Bathrooms, an internal bathroom like this really ideally should have a continuous flow bathroom extractor fan, so it's constantly running, but it just runs at a low level but constantly. I'm going to test the through flow, but it's likely that the through flow is not as good as it should be, but hopefully it is, and that's because it's a long circuitous pipe
Yeah.
to get out. But it is a rigid pipe, so that's good.
Yeah.
It's not a sort of and that type of, what they're called inline fans, that type of fan generally is better, faster. But I'll test it. But the other thing is that 90% of the vapour remains in the room when you turn the light out. So a lot of fans turn off immediately you turn the light out.
Yeah.
And you can find that all the vapour is still there, and then people make the mistake of leaving the bathroom door open.
Right.
And it's a bit like somebody smoking. If you had the bathroom door, if somebody was smoking in the bathroom and the door was open, even if the fan was on, you would smell it elsewhere, because vapour moves through diffusion like smoke.
Yeah.
So I make sure to close the bathroom door,
Okay.
and I'll just test the fan, and I'm happy to extend it.
Okay. Sure.
It only lasted 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you mind putting it back on again? I'll just test it from the outside.
Oh,
So it is running at 15 litres a second. That number there is 15, so that's good. But I just want to make sure it's actually going out. These are calcium sulfate salts.
Okay.
It's the primary ingredient in plaster is calcium sulfate, and you just need to sand it down, let it dry out, and then you can repaint it. Or if you feel
you just get lime plaster put on.
if you feel like putting plaster on, but you'll find that actually it looks worse than it is.
All right. Because it seems to be peeling from here as well now. Like it's beginning to go that way.
Yeah, but it's just salt's blistering. It's a bit like, you know, salt pan, like sea salt. It's the same, you know how sea salt can blister as well.
Right.
It's the crystallization underneath the plaster that's causing it.
Okay.
But you may have to use a filler, or you may feel a need to get a plaster in to do a finishing coat. But it's not. This is the main ingredient that's just moving through.
Okay.
So
Sure.
yeah, don't worry about that. It's really benign. You could.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't encourage you to eat it, but I don't think you'll cause the only problem. I'm worried about is that the extractor fan ducting is allowing air to come back into the flat. Because I get the explanation, but I unless I can see the outside and test the flow of air from the outside, I would be concerned. And it's very easy for you guys to do that. So I'll show you how. So you can, this is an anemometer, which you can, you know, these are relatively expensive, but actually a very simple way of doing the same thing is, well, either you can see the flaps on the outside out, or you can just put a piece of paper up against the extractor fan and just see, and if you can see a decent amount of air flow coming out, and you can judge it because it's going to be, that one is running about 4 times what the other one, so you can pretty much judge it, and then be certain for yourselves that it is going the whole way through, because what I fear is that it's just going from the bathroom into this area here, or somewhere around here, because the logical thing to do is to take it out this way, but because you've got the RSJ to support the chimney breast, it's not doing that.
It goes behind the RSJ actually.
But could it be going up the chimney breast?
No.
It's just that.
So it goes through. I can show you a picture of how it looks before.
So this is a thermal imaging camera, and it shows me where the zones of heat loss are.
Okay.
And it's quite useful. The numbers change. Do you see that blue is a relative temperature to everything else, but it's showing me the temperature is 10 degrees centigrade there. It's useful also for the data loggers as well.
Okay, sure. Is the red is where it's losing, or is
No, blue is the colder temperature. You'll see when I put it on the film.
Okay, sure.
By the way, these heated rails are not great. They're good at drying clothes. They're horrible at causing condensation on walls, because just the speed that the water has been removed. Drying in clothes internally is never.
Just bought that, actually.
You've just bought it, have you? Sorry about that. And that's that area there. Okay. In the cupboard here, it'll get heat loss in just behind here. It's not so cold at the moment, but when it's cold at night, you'll get it.
Yeah.
So it's 100% there. And this is, this is most commonly caused by condensation, this rusting, but I'll have a look outside, so it could be result of penetrating damp. We'll have a look there. So this change in plaster suggests that it's been damp-proofed in the past, which isn't great. But anyway, so we got some damage there. This suggests that water's coming through from above, so I'll have a look. It's one of the issues with this type of property. So you got cracks there. There's a bit of a crack there. So very simple. You just need you need to fill it, and then a fillet of cement, basically. It's cracked there. So it looks like it's been damp proofed up to this level with an impermeable plaster. And damp proofing is a marketing term. Damp inducing would be a better word or expression, but obviously it wouldn't sell many products. So you had damp proofing on this wall, behind there. Oh yeah.
I can open this because it's so bad. I'm sorry. Oh, it's not that bad. You have tons of.
So when it's been damp proofed, the damp proofing is it's a marketing term. It's an aspiration rather than a reality. Damp inducing would be better word for. But so there's a bit of damp there. But what happens is that the normal plaster gets replaced with impermeable plaster, and that looks like it.
So what is this good plaster, the yellow one?
This would be the it looks more like the historic plaster, but it's difficult for me to know. Oh, actually, it's difficult. But this looks new compared to this, and you often get damp proof as ridge, which you're not getting here. But where you get, mind you, it's internal, so you're less likely to get
this
it.
thing, like, I don't know what they did here because we pulled the paper
out.
out.
That's an example. That's been damp proofed. But
Yeah, I think this was before we bought the place.
Yeah. Moves the problem on, it doesn't solve it.
Oh, right.
I've calibrated it. You see how all the numbers are now basically the same because they're in the same unit, and you calibrate it by, if you just press the name, you can use the name to use the find it function. So you press that and the thing colours up, and then this is the number for each one is slightly different for the calibration to get the number correct. So and now all you need to do is press the green number. And if you do that, and it will synchronize. I'll put it on film so you can. If you press the green number,
this one.
Yeah.
Oh wait, okay.
So that's synchronizing, and then press the calculator sign top right, and then press the export sign top right, and you can either open the CSV and put it to file, or you can. If you do export, then it goes straight to email. So if you press that, and so it saves you having to remember.
Sure.
And then send it to myself, simon@dampsurveys.com. So we're just talking about the dampness there.
Yeah.
And I believe it's two issues. One, I think there is some penetrating damp coming from the outside.
Okay.
So there's a gap in the steps about 2/3 of the way up, and you need to fill that. I'm not saying it's necessarily coming through there, but it's quite an easy job to do, just to fill it. I think I would use a acrylic filler and then put in what's called a fillet of cement-based mortar. And then with this one, I think that's part of the issue, and you can see it coming through there. You see that dampness there? When you get brown staining like that, it's because water's passing through building material. And then I think this could be made worse by that, but it's essentially condensation that's causing.
Is it condensation?
Yeah.
As well?
Do you heat this room when have you turned the valve off or down?
No. This one comes on, but this is only. We've turned off this one. There is a little heater there. Turn that off because we kind of that plaster is actually also disintegrating that whole side, but we want to pull that out but eventually put in a bigger radiator here or something to that effect.
Well, I think so. The vapor is going to be a critical factor, but you might think of insulation. I'll show you some insulating products so you can think about.
Because we can't lose any more
space.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Well, have a look at this. This is called. I mean, this is expensive, but I'm using it myself. It's called Space Therm, and this is like there are two benefits essentially, and one downside. The downside is it's expensive. It's about 10 times the cost.
How much would that be?
So it's about £100 for a quarter. You know the normal plasterboard size, which is 2,400 or 2,400 millimeters by 1,200. So the size of a wall. And basically
so
a quarter size, so like that to there is £100, give or take. I'm using it for doing up a flat that actually my son's going to live in, and we're using it on the reveals, so the area around the doors and windows. And we're using it at the base of the wall because it's vapor permeable, so it allows air in and out, vapor in and out. And if you do have penetrating damp that goes unchecked, you have a risk. Actually, you don't have it's not a problem here because you've got no timber underneath here. So if water did come through, then it would just go into the floor. It would perhaps damage the skirting, but it would. So you don't necessarily need this for the walls, but it's worth having it for the reveals, and then the walls themselves. You could go for, you can get 65 millimeter Celotex, and then that's about that thick. So it's obviously thicker, but it'll have the same U value as this.
Because what we intend to do in that room is they have built, I think the pipes that are we have previous owners put in water meter in here. So I don't know if there's also gas meters that's coming through because that's where the gas meters are. And then
you get a risk of damp because the water comes in at about 8 degrees centigrade in winter, and you get a risk of condensation.
So can we then use that thing on this wall? Take out this plasterboard and then
I would put the insulation around the pipes themselves. I would tend to if they're being embedded into cement, I would probably insulate a box around them and just have a boxing. It depends. Depends but you could do,
Okay, sure. Because if it's that thin, then that will increase the size of the one little bit.
So this is the thing for extending the timer, and I'll just twist it around. I'll use this one here. And test it, make sure it works. Okay, that should be fine now. It should be half an hour.
And then you go into the little into the bedroom, and then you come through this door.
Oh, I see. So it was and that's the other side of a radiator that we used to be there.
And we
makes sense. Yeah.
All these, I think we should for the next owners when we sell this, we should put a little schematic because we have to learn everything the hard way. What is this pipe here? So.
Well, if you ever have a plumber for anything, I would get them to just remove it. It just
that's why we've not actually painted down the bottom. It was always the plan.
That was 5 years old now, I think.
This is the root cause is from condensation. It's not from any other thing. And I want you to do 3 things, and just and then look at the numbers on the data log as well. I mean, you won't be able to tell much from looking at the numbers, but it's when it's put onto the internet using AI. And it's the 3 things I want you to do is keep the door closed on the bathroom at all times, and I'm guessing you'll want to anyway. But except
we have to leave it a little bit because the cat, she hates any closed doors.
We'll have to keep it open at night.
Okay, what you can do is put a string down with the weight on the other side, so that oh no, she won't be able to get out again, will she?
Just you leave it open a little bit. She knows how to. She basically
Okay.
pushes the doors through. So
Okay, that's going to be an interesting challenge. Okay.
Yeah.
Use the dehumidifier 24/7,
yeah.
constantly, and if you're drying clothes out, if you're drying clothes internally, can you just maybe for this 10 days try and do it outside because it's dry enough, it's warm
Yeah.
enough now.
We usually set the thing here.
I know, but you've got a drying rack and they're terrible.
Yeah.
I know you've only just got it, but
Doesn't work. That's fine.
it works. It works brilliantly, but it just produces lots of vapor. The third one is if you can run just be really careful about cooking with tops on pots and pans and using the extractor fan whenever cooking, because your open plan. So any vapor, also plus the condensations in this area here. I will have a quick look behind the fridge and maybe just bring it out by an inch, just to get a bit of extra ventilation. So just to bring the fridge out by about an inch, that should help. So there's all this pipe work down here, which I'm going to encourage you to insulate. Just get it's very inexpensive pipe insulation, get a B&Q or whatever. One of those is probably going to be the cold water pipe. And the way fridges work is when you open the door, the vapor from cooking will get into the fridge. It will drain at the back of the fridge, and then a pipe or a drain will go in behind here, and the motor that's driving the coolant around the fridge will heat the water up, and it will evaporate. And that's why you were getting mould behind the fridge. But if you're getting mould there, you also got a risk of getting condensation, and then that water from that pipe there can spread across this floor because it's impermeable. So if we just move it out by an inch or so, that will just increase the airflow, and maybe just leave at least for now, nothing there.
Sure.
Just so that we got a bit of air through. I know, once you've got all this sorted out, you can start pushing things back, but also monitor things going forward. Control of moisture management and vapor management. You can put it back, but there was mould here.
Yeah, that corner.
It's not so bad. No.
Is there any mold at all now?
I can't see it, but it looks fine. You've got anti-mold paint on.
Yeah.
So, the other thing is that because you've got this area, you've got this thing here.
Yeah.
It's very neat, but what it means is that you're just not getting the airflow in behind. So you may actually find that the root cause of all of this damp here is this fridge. It could be as simple as, if you look at some of my other videos, you'll see plenty of examples of fridges causing the damp. At least, it's a combination of factors. The primary cause is always the vapor.
Yeah.
And
What causes the vapor?
it's just where it comes out first. It's the first. But if it's not coming out here, it'll come out somewhere else. That's the thing. And also when you've got lots of different places in a property, you've got a general vapor issue rather than a sort of specific localized one.
Okay.
But the good thing is that it won't cost anything to solve these things.
Yeah.
It's just more understanding and data loggers.
Yeah.
That's the bit, and a damp meter. Great. Onto plaster, you need to use what's called a mist coat, and that's just diluted 50-50 paint and water, and then it just absorbs into the plaster, and then. But I wouldn't do it when it's damp particularly, but then it will catch. It will paint better. It's a type of primer.